Before we start using the Vue CLI, before we start creating those better project setups, which I talked about, let's understand why exactly we might need such better setups. Now, here's one thing which we will, for example, need: a proper development web server. Now, what do I mean by that? Currently, we're testing our Vue application by double-clicking the index.html file and then seeing it in the browser. This works, but it's actually unrealistic. It's actually not how we want to test this. Why? Because with that, we actually use the file protocol instead of the HTTPS protocol. You can see this here. This is loaded as a file in the browser. Now, if I load a page like google.com, this is not loaded as a file. Instead here, this is loaded as a website using the HTTP or actually the HTTPS protocol. And that is a totally different thing that influences how the page is served and also which features are available in our code. So which features we can use in our JavaScript code. And with that file protocol, thus far everything worked, but that wouldn't stay that way. Because indeed, certain modern JavaScript features would not really work in that file protocol setup. And in addition, there is one important thing you have to keep in mind. The users of your website, of your Vue web app, so the users you want to target with your app, they will in the end visit a website, right? You're building a website which eventually will be hosted on some server. So therefore, the final app which your users see will be hosted by a server and therefore will be served via HTTPS, not via that file protocol. That file protocol is only available locally on your computer if you double-click the HTML file. That's not what will be used once the web page is served to your users by a server in the end. And therefore, you're doing something which is not really good. You're testing your web application under different circumstances than your users will see them in the end. Now, I can tell you, thus far, that wouldn't make a difference. What you learned over the last modules applies in exactly the same way, no matter how the HTML file is served. But going forward, we definitely want to switch to a more realistic development setup, and we, for example, definitely want to have a development web server, which is a web server running locally on your machine, so that you don't need to pay for any server right now. You can still test everything locally on your machine, but with an important difference: this development web server, which I will show you how to set up, it will be very easy, no worries. This development web server will serve your web app, your HTML file, via the HTTPS or the HTTP protocol on your machine, not via the file protocol. And that will be one important difference.